Luis Antonio Tagle, one of the most influential and compassionate leaders within the Catholic Church, has made a profound mark on both the global religious community and the lives of countless individuals with his deep theological knowledge, unwavering commitment to social justice, and genuine empathy for the marginalized. Tagle has shaped the course of the Church in the 21st century. His journey from a humble background to becoming a key figure within the Vatican is a testament to his dedication to faith, service, and leadership. As we say goodbye, we reflect on the lasting impact of Cardinal Tagle's legacy. Early life and rise within the Church. Luis Antonio Tagle, widely known as Cardinal Tagle, has long been regarded as one of the most prominent and influential figures in the Catholic Church. Born on June 21, 1957, in Manila, Philippines, Tagle's journey to becoming a cardinal was shaped by his early education, spiritual formation, and deep connection to the Church. From an early age, he demonstrated an unwavering commitment to religious life, joining the seminary to pursue his vocation. After completing his ecclesiastical studies, he was ordained as a priest for the Archdiocese of Manila in 1982. In the years following his ordination, Tagle's intellectual acumen and profound theological insights quickly became apparent. He earned advanced degrees in theology from prestigious institutions, including a master's degree in theology from the Ateneo de Manila University and a doctorate in sacred theology from the prestigious Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome. His academic background, paired with his deep spiritual grounding, allowed him to rise quickly within the ecclesiastical hierarchy. In 2001, he was appointed Bishop of Imus, a position he held until 2011 when he was named Archbishop by Pope Benedict XVI. The appointment was groundbreaking not only because of his relatively young age, he was only 54 at the time, but also due to his reputation as a man of both intellectual and pastoral excellence. His leadership as Archbishop of Manila saw him take on a number of vital roles within the Church as he became known for his approachability, warmth, and commitment to the faithful. His efforts were particularly focused on addressing social issues like poverty, environmental sustainability, and interfaith dialogue, and he quickly became a beloved figure within the Philippine Catholic community. The path to the papacy, a strong contender. Cardinal Tagle's rise within the Church did not go unnoticed. His charisma, pastoral leadership, and unwavering commitment to the values of the gospel caught the attention of both the faithful and the Vatican. In 2012, only a year after his appointment as Archbishop of Manila, Pope Benedict XVI elevated Tagle to the cardinalate, signaling the Church's recognition of his talents and future potential. Tagle's promotion to cardinal placed him firmly within the inner circle of the Catholic hierarchy, and he quickly became a widely speculated contender for the papacy. Over the next several years, Cardinal Tagle continued to strengthen his reputation both within the Philippines and abroad. His work as a leader of the Filipino Catholic community, combined with his deep engagement with global issues like poverty, inequality, and the protection of human rights, positioned him as a voice for the marginalized and a proponent of social justice. His support for the environment and advocacy for the poor endeared him to progressive factions of the Church, while his deep faith and commitment to tradition made him a respected figure within more conservative circles. The progressive stance, inclusivity, and compassion, one of the defining characteristics of Cardinal Tagle's leadership have been his unwavering commitment to inclusivity and compassion. Throughout his tenure as Archbishop of Manila, he consistently championed the causes of those on the margins of society, especially the poor, the oppressed, and the disenfranchised. He advocated for the Church to become a more open, welcoming institution, one that embraces diversity and extends the love of Christ to all, regardless of background, race, or socioeconomic status. Tagle's progressive vision for the Church emphasized inclusion, emphasizing that all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, should be treated with dignity and respect. His vocal support for the LGBT community, for example, was one of the areas in which he most strongly aligned with the reformist vision of Pope Francis. Cardinal Tagle called for greater openness within the Church, advocating for an end to divisive rhetoric and promoting a more compassionate, understanding approach to those with differing views. This stance, while widely celebrated by progressive factions, drew the ire of more conservative factions within the Church, who accused him of undermining traditional Catholic teachings on marriage and sexuality. Despite the criticism, Tagle remained resolute in his belief that the Church's mission is not merely to uphold doctrine but to extend love and compassion to all people, especially those who feel excluded or marginalized. His leadership in this regard reflects a broader shift within the Church, as Pope Francis and many of his allies seek to reconcile modernity with tradition, crafting a church that is both faithful to its roots and responsive to the needs of today's world. The controversial legacy, political involvement and church-state relations. However, Cardinal Tagle's tenure has not been without its controversies. One of the most significant points of contention during his time as Archbishop of Manila was his perceived involvement in partisan politics. His critics accused him of permitting clergy members under his leadership to engage in political discourse, sometimes openly criticizing the government, including former President Rodrigo Duterte's administration. The most notable example of this was the open criticism of Duterte's controversial war on drugs, which drew sharp reactions from both the Philippine government and the Vatican. While many lauded the Church's efforts to speak out against human rights abuses, others felt that this breached the constitutional principle of the separation of church and state. The Church, they argued, should not involve itself in political matters, especially when it comes to issues as contentious as government policy. Tagle's critics, including some within the ranks of the Catholic hierarchy, argued that his political engagement weakened the Church's neutrality and made it vulnerable to political manipulation. These criticisms raised important questions about the appropriate role of the Church in politics and whether the faithful should view the clergy as impartial moral leaders or as political advocates. Additionally, Cardinal Tagle faced significant criticism over his handling of clergy misconduct. Allegations surfaced suggesting that he had failed to take firm action against clergy members accused of sexual misconduct or other forms of abuse during his tenure as Archbishop. While some supporters defended his actions, arguing that the issue had been overblown or politically motivated, others felt that Tagle's handling of the matter left much to be desired. For some, this failure to act decisively raised questions about his leadership and commitment to accountability within the Church. Silence on the Vatican-China deal. A defining moment, perhaps one of the most divisive issues surrounding Cardinal Tagle's leadership, is his perceived silence on the Vatican's controversial agreement with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. The deal, which was designed to regulate the appointment of bishops in China and improve relations between the Vatican and Beijing, was met with widespread criticism, particularly from those who believe it compromises the independence of the Catholic Church in China. Cardinal Tagle, during his time as the prefect for the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, held significant influence over church matters in Asia, including in China. Yet, despite the significance of the agreement, Tagle remained notably silent on the issue, leading to questions about his position on the matter. Some critics accused him of complicity, suggesting that his silence reflected a failure to stand up for the moral and spiritual needs of Chinese Catholics, who they argued were being subjected to political interference by the CCP. Tagle's refusal to comment on the agreement only fueled suspicions about his approach to church-state relations in China, with many drawing parallels between his actions and those of Pope Francis, who has also faced criticism for his perceived leniency toward Beijing. The controversy surrounding the agreement reached a new height with the trial of Cardinal Joseph Zen, a prominent critic of the Vatican's dealings with the Chinese government. While Cardinal Zen's legal battles became a rallying point for critics of the Vatican's China policy, Tagle's lack of public support for Zen raised additional concerns about his commitment to human rights and the independence of the Church. A global leader with a mission. Despite the controversies, Cardinal Tagle's leadership has had a profound impact on the Church, particularly in his work with Caritas Internationalis. As president of the global humanitarian organization, Tagle worked tirelessly to expand its reach and impact, addressing the world's most pressing challenges, including poverty, climate change, and migration. Tagle's work with Caritas exemplified his belief that the Church's mission extends beyond spiritual matters and must include a commitment to social justice and humanitarian concerns. Tagle's efforts with Caritas help bring attention to the plight of vulnerable populations, including refugees, the homeless, and the impoverished. His advocacy for the environment and the marginalized has made him an influential figure not only within the Church but also in global conversations on social justice. Through his leadership, Tagle demonstrated that the Church's role in the world extends beyond the altar, embracing a responsibility to address the most urgent issues of our time. Formative years and education. Growing up in Paranag, a bustling city just south of Manila, Tagle attended St. Andrew's School, where his early education was marked by both academic rigor and a strong sense of spiritual guidance. It was during these formative years that he began to feel the calling to the priesthood, influenced by the priests who served as his mentors. Their example inspired him to pursue a life dedicated to both learning and service to others. At the age of 16, he entered the prestigious San Jose Seminary, which was operated by the Jesuits, religious order known for its academic rigor and commitment to social justice. After completing his studies at the seminary, Tagle pursued a Bachelor of Arts in Pre-Divinity at Ateneo de Manila University, a prestigious Jesuit institution known for its excellence in both spiritual formation and academic achievement. In 1977, he graduated with distinction, and his passion for theology only deepened as he continued his studies at Loyola School of Theology, also at Ateneo. His commitment to understanding the theological underpinnings of the Catholic faith led him to seek further knowledge abroad, and so in 1985, he enrolled at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. At the Catholic University of America, Tagle specialized in systematic theology and achieved the highest honors in his field. He earned a licentiate in sacred theology in 1987 and completed his doctorate summa cum laude in 1991. His dissertation, which focused on episcopal collegiality in the teaching and practice of Pope Paul VI, became a seminal work, and his professors, particularly the renowned theologian Joseph A. Komunchak, recognized Tagle as one of the finest students they had ever mentored. Komunchak lauded Tagle's academic excellence, predicting that he could have become one of the leading theologians in Asia had he not been called to serve the Church in an episcopal capacity. Theological contributions and international recognition. After completing his doctorate, Tagle returned to the Philippines, where he took on multiple roles in the archdiocese, showing his devotion not only to the intellectual life but also to the pastoral care of his community. He was appointed rector of the seminary in Imus, where he nurtured the faith of young seminarians. His reputation as a brilliant theologian and compassionate leader began to grow both within the Philippines and internationally. In 1997, his scholarly contributions earned him a place on the International Theological Commission, a prestigious body that advises the Vatican on matters of theology. That same year, he was appointed to participate as an expert at the Special Assembly for Asia during the Synod of Bishops, where he addressed issues related to the Church's role in Asia. On October 22, 2001, Pope John Paul II appointed him Bishop of Imus, and Tagle was ordained as a bishop on December 12, 2001. His pastoral care and dedication to social justice earned him the respect of both the clergy and the laity. In 2011, Pope Benedict XVI appointed Tagle as the Archbishop of Manila, one of the most influential and important archdioceses in the Catholic Church. Tagle took office on December 12, 2011, marking the beginning of an era of reform, progress, and outreach for the archdiocese. As Archbishop of Manila, Cardinal Tagle was known for his deep compassion for the poor and his willingness to speak out against social injustice. He was a fierce advocate for the rights of the marginalized and worked tirelessly to improve the lives of the impoverished in his community. His leadership reflected the reformist vision of Pope Francis, and his efforts to engage the global community on social issues such as poverty, climate change, migration, and human rights made him a respected figure not only within the Philippines but also in the global Catholic community. Cardinal Tagle's global impact and leadership. One of Cardinal Tagle's most significant contributions to the Church was his involvement with Caritas Internationalis, a global Catholic humanitarian network that works to alleviate poverty and promote social justice worldwide. As president of Caritas, Tagle worked tirelessly to ensure that the organization's reach extended to some of the most underserved and vulnerable populations in the world. Under his leadership, Caritas increased its global presence, focusing on tackling issues such as hunger, inequality, and climate change. His advocacy for fair and lasting solutions to these crises drew attention to the role of the Church as a global force for good. In addition to his work with Caritas, Tagle became involved in the Vatican's efforts to address the challenges facing the global Church. His leadership extended to his role as prefect for the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, where he was responsible for overseeing the Church's missionary activities worldwide. In 2019, he was appointed prefect of the Congregation, a role that expanded his influence even further. He also became the president of the Vatican's Pontifical Council for the Family, focusing on the pastoral challenges of family life and the need for the Church to be more inclusive and compassionate toward all families, regardless of their circumstances. Tagle's influence within the Vatican grew steadily, and he was seen as a potential successor to Pope Francis. His ability to connect with people across cultural and geographical divides, his commitment to social justice, and his compassionate leadership made him a beloved figure not only in the Philippines but also in the global Catholic community. In 2020, he was appointed Cardinal Bishop of San Felice, and his leadership continued to resonate deeply with those who sought a church that was not only a spiritual refuge but also a force for positive social change. Cardinal Tagle's vision for the future of the Church is one of inclusion, openness, and engagement with the challenges of the modern world. He believes that the Church must not be a static institution but one that is actively involved in addressing the pressing issues of our time. At the heart of his vision is the idea of a church that welcomes everyone regardless of their background and embraces diversity as a means of fostering greater understanding and unity. His commitment to interfaith dialogue is central to his approach, as he believes that meaningful conversations between people of different faiths are essential for building a more peaceful and just world. In addition to promoting inclusivity, Tagle has been a vocal advocate for the environment. His calls for greater action on climate change have resonated with many in the Church who see environmental justice as a moral imperative. He has emphasized the interconnectedness of all creation and has urged the Church to take a more active role in protecting the planet for future generations. Furthermore, Tagle's ability to adapt to the digital age has been a defining characteristic of his leadership. By embracing social media and digital platforms, he has been able to reach a global audience, particularly younger generations who spend much of their time online. His messages of hope, compassion, and faith resonate with people of all ages, and his ability to connect with them through modern technology has ensured that the Church remains relevant in an ever-changing world. Through his use of digital tools, Cardinal Tagle has made the Church feel more accessible and relatable, especially to those who may not otherwise feel connected to the traditional forms of worship and community. Challenges and controversies. Despite his many achievements, Cardinal Tagle's path has not been without challenges. His tenure as Archbishop of Manila was marked by controversies, particularly regarding his involvement in politics. Some critics accused him of allowing members of the clergy to deliver politically charged sermons, particularly in opposition to the government of former President Rodrigo Duterte. These actions sparked debate about the role of the Church in politics and raised concerns about the separation of church and state. Another point of contention during Tagle's tenure was his stance on the Vatican's agreement with China, a deal that many critics felt compromised the autonomy of the Chinese Church. While Tagle remained relatively silent on the matter, his critics have questioned his ability to address sensitive geopolitical issues, particularly when the Church's moral authority is at stake. These controversies have led some to question whether Tagle's progressive image could alienate conservative factions within the Church, which could ultimately undermine his candidacy for the papacy. The future of Cardinal Tagle. As the Catholic Church faces the challenges of the 21st century, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle stands as a figure of hope and transformation. His leadership, which combines intellectual brilliance, deep spirituality, and a commitment to social justice, has already left an indelible mark on the Church. Whether or not he is ultimately chosen to succeed Pope Francis, Tagle's influence will undoubtedly shape the direction of the Church in the years to come. His life's work is a testament to the power of faith, compassion, and a tireless commitment to serving others. Cardinal Tagle's journey is far from over, and as he continues to inspire millions around the world, his legacy as one of the most influential Catholic leaders of his generation is already secured.